Good evening. This is Scott Weersing, Director of Programs for ISPI of Hampton Roads. Thanks for joining us in a kind of a new format of session where we're trying to actually going to get to demo and hopefully a chance for you to see tools that you can use tomorrow. So that's kind of the whole goals. Rather than education, which is something you might use a month from now, this is actually start like demonstrations and training is something you can actually use tomorrow. And so Mark, Marcia, and I have kind of thought about different ways we can use AI as performance specialists. And so we'll be kind of doing that tonight. We got 15 people, so we're not going to do introductions. We'll probably, ask a little bit more about your background later on when we do some of the prompts from you guys on such. So be kind of thinking about when we're showing you these examples, think of a prompt or some kind of question you'd want us to try out, and we're coming out to you towards the second half of this presentation to show you how it works. So it's kind of a live, we're going to demo it, and then we're going to give chances to play around with what you guys are bringing. So I'm going to give it over to Mark to lead the way.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining in tonight. If you got questions as we move along, feel free to jump in with them. We'll do our best to monitor the chat and hand raises and stuff like that, but it's still a small enough group that we can dance in the moment and stuff like that. So, in general, what Scott, Marcia, and I are going to do is a few different demonstrations, just stuff of interest to us. So I'm just going to get us rolling here. I'm going to share my screen. Just one second. New computer, and I must have forgotten to do something here. So just let me give myself permission to share my screen, which seems weird. Oh, man. Sorry about that. Let's try it again. All right, I think we're there. So, normally I don't look around this much, but I said new computer and stuff like that. So, Scott, you confirm you're seeing my Chat GPT screen? Okay, thanks.
Yes, I can see it says ready when you are.
All right, perfect. Now all I have to do is, well, let me just talk about this. I had dropped something in the chat and I can't find that. It's like the first time I did this. Here we go. So here's a scenario. I just dropped it into the chat yeah, for now. And so here's our little scenario. There's whoever we work for, whoever we're working with. There's a problem or a perceived problem anyways, a cross-functional product team, missing deadlines, deliverables inconsistent in quality. And stop me if you've heard this before. Senior leadership says, we need training, we need better project management training. So let me just start with probably would be, I'm not going to say good or bad, you be the judge of that, but a very simple prompt to get ChatGPT thinking about this. So very simple. It's like somebody says, we need better project management training. So I say, okay, AI, design me a training program to improve project management performance for a cross-functional team that's missing deadlines. And you'll see probably a little bit of the personality because I've been working with my ChatGPT agent for a while. So hopefully he, she, or it is not going to get too personal. And so this is kind of a pleasant surprise, really. Excuse me. We've already in this case Chat GPT has noted that maybe training is not just the only thing. So let's think about this as a performance consultant. Um, so it suggests defining performance outcomes, not learning objectives, um, offers a program structure. You take a look at this 6 to 8 weeks, 90-minute weekly live session, real project user practice material. I don't know about you. That sounds very train-ish. Um, curriculum. Okay, training, training, training. These are all things we're going to do during the training. Um, Training fails without reinforcement. Well, we all know that. Um, and here's how to deliver the training. That's good. And a couple concerns from a program perspective, and is this enough? So, in this case, um, what do you think about this response? And I flicked through it pretty quickly, but just a couple thoughts, just shout them out.
It
I'm
gives you
seeing the
the
thing on
prompts,
measurement
but
there,
it
Mark.
doesn't give you details.
Okay. Uh, uh, I heard another voice chime in there
That
as
was
well.
me, Mark. I said, I don't see anything about asking it about, performance measurements. So
Right.
training, and, what you're gonna do, but I don't see anything, how you're gonna measure that.
Right, right. So yeah, we're probably not done. One
Yeah.
more thought or comment? Apologize, I closed the window so I can't see if anybody's raising their hand. But I'll go ahead. Um, so yeah, I mean, you take a look at this thing, and it's nice and slick, like you would expect from an AI agent or from an AI service. It's polished, it's coherent, and it may also be completely wrong, right? And those of you who've attended these before, there's this common thread. It always creeps up in almost every session we've got. Is like, that's nice, um, but is training really the solution here? So in this case, I'm going to scroll back. Remember, scroll back to that prompt I gave it. I'll highlight a little bit here for those of you watching this on screen. Design a training program to improve project management performance for this particular issue. So it sure did. It is a training program. We don't know about the rest of the stuff that will really improve project management. Is it really appropriate for this team? But by God, I asked it to design a training program, and boom, we've got a training program. So you might call that, malicious compliance, or you get what you asked for. So, based on, what we're saying here and thinking about it, let's see if we can improve on this a little bit. So just scrolling back down, and down at the bottom of the screen, and just going to enter kind of an updated prompt here. Let's scroll down. So let's try again. Act as a performance improvement consultant, and you know something about ISPI. We'll give you a little concise. Here's the business problem. Here's the symptoms, problems with deliverables, rework, and timeline issues. And here's a great learning thing. This is something I had picked up. I think probably at the conference last year, down in Jacksonville, was one of the AI sessions said, a good question to ask is, what are some good questions to ask of me or the team or stuff like that. So that's that last one. Before recommending solutions, what diagnostic questions should be asked? So let's take a look at the response. So I hinted you should go look at ispi.org and sort of sort it out. And some of these things should sound familiar. Desired performance, active performance, that sure sounds like that gap analysis stuff. Learning about the environment, individual stuff, consequences and feedback. That goes back to, the, 4 or 6 boxes or whichever model. I mean, kind of right back to uh, Gilbert's model, if you will. What's the organization about? What's the individual about? What are areas of concerns? So pretty quick sneak peek into our website and whatever else ChatGPT has accumulated over its time, and says it can speak with a little confidence in the language with which we're familiar. And I won't go through, and, read, through all of these things. I can share this chat out with everybody, later as part of the follow-up. But it says, here's some questions to ask. What does on time mean? Is there a defined and shared execution process? How do we make leadership decisions? Is there a clarity, Reiki matrix type questions there? Feedback and consequences. Don't necessarily see measures. Keith, you'd asked that before about that. What are performance measures? Um, and it asks for, some, or suggests that we ask for some detailed data, so on and so forth, and what we should do. So what ChatGPT has proposed here is under this, what should we do? What should we do next? And it says, should we convert these into an interview guide, blah, 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 map them into some performance analysis worksheet, your front end analysis, or, come up with some funky um, simulation of this and walk through. All perfectly valid. But rather than directly answering, that implied question, would you like me to do this? Where should we take this? One of my favorite things is to ignore my AI agent when they were doing something that I'm not interested in doing right now. So instead, I'm just going to jump ahead and say, hey, check this out. And I'll just scroll up or let it sit here for a second and just pretend, yeah, we've already done this. Here's the causes that we've determined. Maybe I knew this, maybe I didn't in the moment, maybe there was time. Agents don't really care. It doesn't, the agents are like dogs. They don't really understand the lapse time. They're just happy to see you, that you're back again and wag the tail. So this is what I've told ChatGPT. Leadership frequently changes their priorities. There's a couple of systems that are not integrated well. Might be overloading of the team members, and no single decision owner. And then I tell ChatGPT in this case, please suggest prioritize interventions. It's like, let's see if you know what an intervention is, right? And arbitrarily, just because I like it, I say categorize them as environmental or systems, process, or skills or training. And you'll notice that I've rather deliberately, led the horse a little bit here by saying, training could be in here. I'm not saying that it necessarily is. So I'll go plug that in and let it cook for a second. And lo and behold, one of the first things comes back with is, training program, training problem, maybe not so much. Let's look at the environmental and system interventions. And so it says, here's some things to look at about how we set priorities or freeze priorities. Absolutely got to sort out this. Why do multiple people appear to be decision owners? In a single effort, a single project, look at the workloads, et cetera, et cetera. And then it works down and says, all right, well, let's look at how workflows go. And this is a lower priority. Maybe we need to standardize some documentation. And then all the way down here says, and kind of like, oh, by the way, once you've looked at the environment, once you've looked at the processes, then here are some smaller skill and training areas to look at. So it's not go poop out a giant training program. It's like, once you've figured out the lay of the land, once you've done your FEA, your gap analysis, then maybe we look at little particular parts where training intervention, will make sense. And so, I mean, it chunks it out and stuff like that. And again, it goes back to suggesting, oh, okay, what do we do next? And, I'm not going to go further with this one here. But, so what do you see here? Other thoughts or what did I talk about too fast and you want to say it anyways? About this response where we gave it a two-part question. We set the stage for ChatGPT, and then we gave it this is what we know in response to your, hey, why don't you go tell me these things? It's like, all right, I'm telling you these things, perhaps in a different format, but I'm still telling you these things. about, what we did for our front end analysis. So thoughts?
Thank you, Mark, for showing us a few ways that we could use the AI and how we can build our own prompts instead of having to use theirs. I think that's pretty good.
Thanks.
Yeah, I appreciated seeing it too. And I do think, I know as my team has been playing more and more with ChatGPT, it is all about the prompts and it is all about making sure that, yeah, you're asking things the right way, that it gives you what, is truly helpful. So
Right.
it's great to see. Thanks.
Yeah, and one of the things I looked at. So if you're still looking at your screen, I talked to my agent, I'm scrolling up the left-hand side, about a whole bunch of things, right, over time. Sometimes as small as a little rewrite to how should I redesign my workshop, my woodworking shop, so on and so forth. Here was helping me out, changing out my computer, including recommendations and stuff like that. But one of the things that I've found, and this is certainly not unique, and I'm probably paraphrasing any number of people who talk about AI, is it will gladly answer your question to the best of its inability, right? And the other thing I found is, and this is kind of like that dog thing, it wants to please so hard. At least, speaking Chat GPT and Gemini, where I've played around a little bit as well. It will desperately try and please you, and it will never ever admit that it's lost or it's wrong. So you absolutely have to be on your toes with this, and bring it to heel, and and learn the things it's not very good at. For me, ChatGPT, I've tried a few times, say, I need you to write some coding scripts for some IT development I was doing for ISPI, and it was just abysmal. And then it just kind of became a little bit fun. Like, exactly how deep of a hole will you dig for yourself, until I tell it, that you're now recycling answers I already told you were bad. So we're going to stop this completely. I'm going to go find a human, and things like that. So it is pretty good at what it does well, right? So one of the things is, and what you saw here is, if we prompt our AI tool with some type of solution bias, as in, hey, I'd like a training program, it will scale that solution bias at machine speed. So the way to check that is to design your prompts at human speed. Take the time, to really rethink your prompts. And it could be when you get an answer that's like you're suspect, and you can even ask, and I'm not going to do that now, but you could ask and say, are you sure of this, or can you prove this? Show me a reference, find me a business case, in your vast repertoire where your suggestion was implemented. That really kills it. That'll really stop it in its tracks. I found, it's like, I think most of its answers come from other people's questions, more so than necessarily learned research or actual applications. So another caution I've found away here. So, and to this case, in particular, I just want to close this Chat GPT one with, I just want to point out that I'm not anti-training. The purpose of this exercise is to demonstrate that I'm anti-assumption. Right. So, other thoughts or questions on this? I do have, if you're interested, I did the same thing earlier today in Gemini, so you don't have to talk through it, but we could kind of like spin through it, just to eyeball, compare and contrast. But Keith, I see you got your hand up first.
Yes, Mark, I got a question for you. I don't know if anybody has to deal with this. I don't have to, because I don't work anymore. I'm retired. But do you take this information? Yeah. Do you take this information to your like managers and stuff and say, hey, I've got this data, because of course, as performance professionals, we're all about the data. So you bring all this data to them and you say, this is what we could do. And then they still, like now, if you went there with no data and you used to say, I'm the professional, I know what I'm talking about. I've done this, I've done the research and I've done this. And they still kind of like, oh, no, we're going to go with whatever I think is best. And you're like, well, we don't need training. I just proved it to you with this chat. I got backup here. And now, does anybody ever run into anything like that where it doesn't matter if it's chat or if it's an AI or if it's just your own professional knowledge, you still got management pushback using the tool.
I can't speak to that because I have used this, for my own stuff, and as I don't tend to ask a whole lot, or I go in as a consultant role and just say, do this. Um, but let's open the floor for others who have seen this. And I would just tag two things on that question. First off is, does this make a difference? And second one is, if we take a look at the Gemini version of this, I actually tag something on the end that certainly pertains to your point there, Keith.
So I have not used AI to try and do anything at work with. I think some of the things that we need to think about is that our if we use AI too much and we show how great it can be, we have to be careful how much are we going to truly be needed then. I know we don't want to think of it like that, but sometimes we may not want to show our full hand. But maybe when we're using Chat GPT or any of the tools that we're going to show you, consider using it for the resource and then share that resource and what the resource has to offer to your boss, and then maybe ask what are the pros and cons of using whatever this thing is. And then maybe that's one way to sell it, because you're providing the pros and cons of whatever you're talking to your boss about.
Yeah, it's certainly a great point. Um, to do that, and I think the question, about do we not show our hand fully? Do we not say that we leveraged an AI tool for this? Um, that will abundantly change over time, and it's certainly, I would imagine, very environmental specific. Do the folks that you're talking to, are they are they stuck, not even considering that AI can bring value, or do they just hear horror stories, or do they think, well, this is only how you make fake pictures for TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. So it's part of know your audience. But you think about how Wikipedia, for example, has transitioned, over last, call it probably, a solid 15 years. And you hear about it, it's like, in schools, in primary and secondary education, it's like, well, if you went to Wikipedia, that's not a valid resource, or a valid source. It's not refereed, in the beginning. Yet, today it is, it is much more widely accepted. I won't say generally or wholly accepted, but it is acceptable as a resource because it is essentially a peer-reviewed, refereed, collection, body of knowledge, and and references are given, is the entire structure of it. So it has moved from something that is viewed with skepticism to something that's viewed with, this is probably pretty believable. I'll still check. I'll still think about it. And I think we're probably at that earlier stage with confessing whether or not we've used AI deliberately, as opposed to the stuff that really makes the news. It's like, I had AI generate this, and that's okay because the teacher had AI decipher whether or not it was AI generated. So like every new technology, as it comes into there's a rough period and stuff like that. For me, if I was challenged on that, I would probably go into a spiel about how smart I am about AI and walk through all the steps until they say, all right, all right, all right, whatever. And it might be, all right, we believe you, or all right, we're going to do it this way anyways. And then you say, well, who's signing my paycheck? And say, all right, so here you go. I will do that with these cautions. That the measure, the measures we'll use to assess this are going to be limited, and success is not guaranteed. But I guarantee you will burn up at least 80 hours of employees, per employee time. So if that's your goal, that at least will be met. Again, it just depends if you're in a surly mood like I was as I said that.
This is Vance. I do have a couple of comments. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, good. So, for one thing, I don't use any resource without my own input. So I almost never use a resource that I have not curated or refereed myself, either from my own personal knowledge or by additional research. I do appreciate Wikipedia because it actually provides the source documents. And although I use Wikipedia as an assist, I don't use Wikipedia as any type of reference. I go to the source document, which is one thing that I don't like about AI. The AI doesn't tell you where it came from. So everything that I've used AI for to date, I have to go either validate by my own reasoning, my own education, my own experience, or from additional resources. But it is a great place to get good ideas, and I do like it for that reason.
Yeah. One of the things we saw, oh gosh, I can't remember her name. Megan, maybe Scott, you can remember. I can't remember her name. At the conference last year, she spoke to us a few months ago. And one of the things I remember from her presentation last year at the conference was, and I've heard, a few others say this, it's like Vance, like you're saying, great for generating ideas and checking thoughts and stuff like that. But what she was saying is it will absolutely not write material that I will call my own. I still write it based on, a conversation and resources and research and all that other stuff. And I might ask and say, I don't like the wording on a particular sentence. It's like, hey, AI tool, make this, a little passage, a little bit prettier, stuff like that. And I believe in that. So where I use this a lot is there's a great big effort, or a tool rather, that ISPI uses for adjudicating awards and conference proposals and chapter awards and stuff like that. And I was the creator and daddy of it. So I have used AI to help me design parts, to troubleshoot parts. I use AI inside the tool for summarize this, what these three reviewers said, and and present that, but it is presented in the presence of the original material. Say, you can scan this, but here's actually the reference material right below it. And within this tool, I don't ask the AI agent to suggest any decisions. It's like, oh yes, approve this or disapprove this or ask for questions and stuff like that. Just pure summary stuff, things that ease the burden of doing reviews, but not to the point of hiding anything, right? And certainly not to the point of suggesting decisions. So yeah. So a little bit of a twist on what you're saying there, Vance. But and again, it's just because I'm not there to check it in the moment, like we did with this demonstration right here. Let's check it in the moment. But if you'll bear with me, a little, I think we got time for this little dance in the moment thing here. Um, so you asked about resources. So let's just ask ChatGPT, what resources did you use for coming up with these suggestions? Nothing more fun than watching somebody else type. Hey, I guessed right.
I will add, though, I'm sorry that I was late to see your whole presentation, Mark.
Mhm.
By the way, Mark, and everybody else, Max Cropper and Tim Stanford over at Wild West chapter, they have developed an AI-based instructional design methodology, and Max could show you more about that. So.
Ah, cool. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think you have to put yourself in the executive shoes. The rest of the world is moving towards AI, and if learning and development or performance improvement even doesn't start thinking about how they can create value for the organization with AI, they may disappear. Marcia has a point about we may disappear anyway if we do help them. But the reality is that organizations want more efficiency. They want people to get up to speed quicker, and the learning organization can certainly play a key role in that. Just like YouTube has played a key role in helping millions of people fix all sorts of problems.
Sure.
And so I think AI can give you the sources, or even better yet, you could feed AI the sort if you have a paid account, you can feed AI the articles that you want to base your course on, or the content that you want to base your course on, and you can ask it to help you structure that in different ways. You could have it structure it as a 1 hour course or 4 hour course. You could have it structure it as a 1 hour course, but also make available online access to different subsets of the topics for people while they're working. There are a lot of things you can do with it, but you've got to take the time to learn all the capabilities that AI could bring to learning and development, to performance improvement, and a lot of the content that is taught in the business. So you have to. That's where the world is going now,
Right.
and if you don't get there, you'll be behind. Max in one of his sessions this week was showing uh, what he could do in 10 minutes with his AI instructional development tool would have taken him like 5 hours or 10 hours to do in the old way that he did it. So those are capabilities that are there to exploit if you put the effort into it.
Absolutely. Other
Mark?
thoughts? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I've been using it to not to write my books. I'll write a chapter and I'll put it in the AI and I'll say, does this make sense? Because to me, when I'm writing like a drunk monkey, you know, and misspelling everything and my dyslexia and everything, I don't trust myself and my brain to, okay, this sounds good to me, but would it sound good to somebody reading it? And it kind of gives me some feedback on the chapters so then I can write my books. I've been using it to write songs and using the AI tool Suno to produce music, which I know that ticks off musicians a lot. But I'm writing the words and just making music because it gives me something and it entertains me. So I'm finding a lot of uses for it.
But you could take, Keith, you could take, say, a course or a book even that you've developed and say, I have two different audiences that I think would be interested in this book. One would be musicians or whatever,
Mhm.
and the other would be business people. And you could say, help me write two versions of the core book for those two groups, and you could give it a slightly different title, and you could probably have the same book in different forms.
Well, I pretty much know my audience. I have a ministry I'm running, so I'm kind of focusing on that. But
That's
I
fine.
do a
Yeah.
podcast using it. There's an AI tool for doing podcast, and they come out really good. And I'm just enjoying it.
Super neat. So, so circling back to the resource, this is why I posted up here. We don't have to read or stuff like that, but I love the short answer. Nah, there's no external resources or browsing or specific playbook. And just as I guessed, earlier, it's like, yeah, well, we did about your website and other stuff that we got there. Didn't bother accessing any proprietary sources or specific while generating a response. So it's part of this, well, you got to believe me thing. And so part of the, if you want to press the I believe button, is you already need to have an idea of what the right answer looks like, to get a sense of it. Because if it's a well-written garbage response, it's like, well, then the worst thing you can do is respond with a well-written, garbage proposal. Sorry about that growth there. Want to take a look at the Gemini version, or Scott or Marcia? Am I going to cut too much into your time?
Yes, so it's almost 7:30. So, Scott, do you want to go ahead and go?
Sure, I have a brief one. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I just have a brief one using Gemini. Brief real life example. Let's see if I can get this to work here. Let's see if I share a window. I got to screen. All right. Are you seeing this Gemini one?
Not yet.
No, we don't see your screen yet.
Let's see here. Oh,
Okay, I'm not the only person who's doing this for the first time.
well, I didn't click the OK button. Now you can see this?
Yes.
You see me.
Yeah, okay. Do I need to make it bigger? Can you see this font already?
Yeah, we can see that.
Yeah, everybody should be able to make their screen bigger too. So there's that.
Yeah, all right. Yours was kind of small, but I'm like, I'm not gonna argue. So we had goals due before the furlough. I work for the Coast Guard as an instructional specialist, and we had to turn in how we're achieving our goals. And I'm like, this is grand. Let me write something and see if it actually works with does my response to the goal actually work? So develop a new level 3 evaluation survey and processes. Here's the goal. I'm like, all right, so this is what I did. I put all this in here. So then I ask it, does it do anything? Choose model. I think just submit. What's my view range here? Where is no, there's no choose model. All right. So now it's thinking, of course. All right. So now it kind of tells you, did you achieve it or partially achieve? So it kind of tells me that one, so it gives you those kind of key things. Now, the funny thing was, I get different responses every time I ran this, because I ran this like 2 weeks ago. I got exceeded because I actually had in here, which I increased the response rate from 25% to 51%. So it gave me an exceed. This time I'm like, so I'm already saying just in my experience here, you get different responses based on different things. So I'm like, maybe it had to do with my response, my prompt compared to this goal, because I don't remember my exact response I gave. So again, I'm kind of surprised on this. It says I've achieved this one, and it's partially achieves. It doesn't state that a standardized process has been implemented. I'm like, well, there hasn't. I'm working on that. So you made significant progress toward your goal. So it gives you kind of a good summary. But it's again one of those kind of key things. So now you can realize, well, maybe I have done something in my response and I need to update it. So again, this is a real simple way to use it, and something that we have to do all the time is like, well, how am I achieving, your goals? And again, you can do this in a weekly response when your boss asks you, what have you done to achieve this goal? And you can write some stuff out and then ask, instead of asking your boss, hey, did I achieve the goal? You can ask Chat, Gemini or whatever your AI is to say, hey, do my sentences match up with that? And so that's just one simple example. But again, what I'm noticing here is that it's a little bit different this time than previous.
Scott, if because all I see is where it starts out as compare this goal with my response. Is there a
Oh, here
higher
it is.
level? No, go back to where you
Oh,
were.
yeah.
If you change that sentence to say, I have a goal of doing these things, then you said develop a 3-level thing, see what kind of response you would get from it by doing that. Just change the
What's the
first,
prompt? What do you want
right?
me to change it to? I can do it again.
Just to what your goal is. No, yeah.
So what's the prompt should be?
Take the first sentence and the rest that you have, just change the first sentence to the specific goal you want. Describe the specific goal again.
Yeah, here's the goal. But I want to know if my actions are achieving that goal, how well they are. This is what I've so far I've done these kind of things. Am I making progress toward this goal based on the goal I've given it? So I'm kind of like asking it to determine, am I making progress, which somewhat it is, but
So,
it does notice that I have, I don't remember from 2 weeks ago what the prompt I did. I might have done, instead of evaluate this goal with my response.
well,
I
maybe give it some information about the audience you're trying to educate, which
yeah,
is stuff like that.
yeah, some different things like that. So I just want to give you guys a short, brief, real practical way of, using it on something that, you might fret and frown about when you have to do like, again, a progress report. This was a, performance progress report that I did for my work. But yeah, obviously I think the first time it came out, I liked it better than this one. So I kept it. I'm like, oh, I think I changed it a little bit with the different prompts. But again, I just wanted to give you guys another simple version of doing this. Again, my view at this end is kind of squirrely. So, all right, I'm going to give it back to Marcia. Thanks, Erwin, though. I think you're right on that one. It all depends on the prompt. Marcia, do you want to show?
Yes, well, my phone just died, so I won't be able to do a visual, but I will walk it through. I'm gonna try to hook it up. I'm not having any luck with my phone or my Zoom tonight. So what I do want to show you guys, I wanted to show you two things, Adobe and um maybe my phone is on. Hold on. Because it's got me at an angle. Okay, I guess it is on. It's just not showing me anything. Okay. So what I wanted to show you guys was how to use Internet Explorer, something just simple as Internet Explorer. So I'm going to share my screen. I think this is it. Okay, everyone see. Hi, Marcia. What can I help you find? Can everyone see that?
Now we see it, yes.
Okay. So what I wanted to show, let's look at something HR related. And what that means is just, let's say you are looking for a Girl Friday. Everybody know what a Girl Friday is? Girl Friday, it's just back in the day, it's someone who can do everything. So something that I have learned is that we're going to do this two ways. We're going to just put in there this information. We're going to say, build a job description for a person who will be a Girl Friday. So I'm showing you how, as in HR or in anything you're doing, to build a job description. Okay. So here it gives you an overview and it tells you the Girl Friday is actually an executive and operations assistant. So it's going to give you the words based on what you put in. Something to remember about HI, it's only as good as the information you give it. So if you give it a little information, it's going to take that and give you what it thinks you need. So it gives you the position overview, tells you something about the candidate. It gives you the key responsibilities of what they think that job looks like. And then it gives you operations and office management. And so it breaks it down to the different levels of work or to the different levels of types of work that that person will be doing. And it tells you that a Girl Friday has to do executive support. They have to do operations and office management. They have to do project and personal assistance, communication and coordination. Now, they're giving you all of this just based on me saying a Girl Friday. Now, then it tells you, so what are some qualifications? Then it gives you qualifications for that particular job description. And then they even go into what are some traits this person should have. Then you have what are some work environment and schedule, compensation. So just using Internet Explorer, which is free, which is actually Microsoft Copilot, you now have a job description for a Girl Friday. Now, when you look at it, let's say it's not specific enough. Maybe you want it for a particular industry. So we're going to have it keep what it has, but now we want them to shape it into, we want this for a construction company. So we're going to add it for a construction company. I don't know what's wrong with my phone is oh, there it is. It's back on. Okay, I just don't want you guys looking at me sideways. Okay. So now we're going to add the construction company. So we're going to shape. So we're going to tell them shape into a Girl Friday for a construction company. Now let's look and see what the results look like and how different it is from what we asked it to do earlier. Okay, so now it's going to change it into construction. So some of the words, now it's a construction operation support instead of what was it earlier? Executive support. So when you look at what it had for an executive support, now let's look at it from a construction operation support. And what it did is it tailored it towards that particular industry. Okay? So now let's say not only do we want a construction company, now we want to add that not only is it from a construction company, it is for a construction company that does concrete and paving. So now we want to add into more. So now we're just going to copy and paste that. Now we're going to shape it into a Girl Friday for a company, a construction company that does concrete and paving. And let's see how different that looks. Okay, so you see, you get the same types of things, but now it's going to look just a little bit different because what we've done is we've shaped it into not only an industry, we've shaped it into a function specific to that industry. So now you're going to see how it looks different. Now it's saying concrete and paving operation support, and it gives the words for that. So let's think of this from an HR perspective. So let's say that you're starting a new team and you really don't know what those positions are, but you have an idea of what their duties are. So what you do is you take a list of their duties and you have them create this. So now you can start thinking about, are those really the things I want them to do? Now, where does the ISPI aspect come in? What do you guys think? So how do we roll performance improvement into this?
Well, it seems to me that, in addition to this, definition of expectations, qualifications, et cetera, is, um, what are the agreed upon, measures of performance or measures of success for execution of the job? And how do you grab that? Is it self-reporting like Scott just demonstrated? Is it, peer reviews? How does that fit in with the company policies and stuff like that? So turning this from a job posting to something that actually guides the execution of the work and the worker, to the benefit of others as well as themselves. That is all performance improvement. But those are some great those are some great questions. I would either like to see Copilot ask me or suggest.
Right.
So just to continue on my rant, where you're typing and creating a performance rating for this job, I would say I would probably phrase that a little more complex. I would have to do a little more work saying, what do you need to know from me to create a performance rating for this job? Because remember, I'm the expert. If I'm HR or whatever, I'm the expert on this particular company.
Right.
Copilot is being an expert on this job in general amongst all the paving and concrete companies.
So what I was saying with this is that we didn't have, so this is something new that we're trying to create. So we didn't have all of that experience and background. So if you tell it to create a performance rating, now it's telling you what that rating scale looks like. So it's going to give you a rating scale for that particular and how you measure it. So you would have to say, so it tells you what are you measuring and what are the indicators. So this is one way that you can keep the performance improvement in it. And what you can also do is, let's go ahead and Mark, what was it you said? Let's see if it gives us how it looks different from what you're saying. Go ahead and say what you were saying again.
Yeah.
So we'll look at how it looks different.
Yeah. For the prompt, I would ask, what do you need to know from me to create a great performance rating system for this position? Probably not system, but Oh, by the way, I never correct my typos. It's like, you're bright enough. You figured out what I was trying to say.
Okay. So now it's thinking about it. So it's going to tell you which tasks are most critical. So it'll break it down for you. How often they'll run errands or support field crews. So now what you've gotten is one list of, it's telling you all of that. And then when you get this, what you're going to do, this now tells you how to quantify what you're looking for. Now you have a way to measure it. So you've used both of them. I think that you can use both of them together to create what the expectations are and then how you're going to measure those expectations. So think about what it is you're trying to do. And this is how the AI truly works, is that, and I think some of you've said it, is you have to have something, you should have an idea in mind. And if you don't, at least think about what's the description. Like I gave it a Girl Friday.
Marcia?
And based on what a Girl Friday is, it gave us everything we needed to know for that Girl Friday. Okay, anybody have any questions or comment about how to create a job description or roles and responsibilities using AI or
Marcia?
comments? Yes.
Marcia, it's Keith.
Hi, Keith.
Hi. I was going to say, I'm going to dust off my PMP hat here and say I would ask the AI to create a workflow for the job. And then once I had the workflow, then, like you said, then you could attach all the parameters to those, and then you could measure that.
Okay, let's see. Okay. So here you go. Review of daily priorities. How are you going to check communication? So this is what it's going to give you for a workflow.
Then now you can ask, how are you doing those? Are you accomplishing those tasks? And once you you can accomplish those tasks, then you can attach a standard to it to find how well are you meeting those standards? And then if you're meeting those standards, then you can actually have a measurement that, like you were saying in the beginning, with your chart, you could create something to measure it.
So see, there are many things, thank you, Keith, that you can do with it. So here it's asking, do you want to do a visual workflow map? Do you want to do a step-by-step SOP? Or do you want to do a training guide? So since we are into training, let's say create a training guide. Let's see what we get. Okay, so it tells you here's orientation. These are the things that they think you need to focus on. So what it just gave you was your orientation package that you can create to tailor. You tailor it to make sure that you include all of this information. Now, what I want, and then it gives you the first 30 days. It gives you all of this. So what I want you to think about is as you use AI in your organization or in the work that you do, think about something that you need to accomplish. Have details. And once you put the details in, it's going to give you the roadmap to be successful with that thing. So this is Microsoft Copilot, which is Internet Explorer. And all it does is just it builds on what's there. And the more succinct of a prompt you give it, the better your information is going to be. So this was one way. So now I want to show you something that I learned. And we'll see how different it uses it. So I've found out about a prompt that you can tell it so that it can be a little bit more human, or it can be more from a consultant. So we're going to type #human in front of build a job description for a person who will be a Girl Friday. And let's see how different does it look. So this one doesn't look too different, and it's already in list format. But you can put different things in here, and now it will give it more of a human. So let's look at executive support or construction operations support, and let's see how different the human prompt looks from the AI prompt. So for the executive, it doesn't look that much different.
Marcia, you said at the beginning you wanted to put // but you only put one slash.
I only wanted to put one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just one slash, but it's to show you that you can do the human piece to it. And you can also do, if you wanted to have a consultant tone, it can be consultant. So
that is kind of a flavoring, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a consultant is
Yep.
not human. I get that.
Yep. It to see what was it called? They had a name for it. I was listening to an Instagram on different hashtags that you can use for your prompts, and that was one of them. And I actually used it for something, and it does have a different tone. It changes the tone of what you are creating. So my suggestion, go ahead. Someone has something to say?
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, go ahead. It's Becky, but I
Go
apologize.
ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's a great hack. I didn't know about this hashtag, but I know a lot of folks during our performance review, annual performance review. A lot of folks were giving, describing their performance and their self-performance, and then they would ask AI specifically, "Is this a professional tone? Is this a friendly tone?" And it would show them something else.
Marcia, you could
Right.
take the
Yeah, but I
same.
love the hashtag. That's a good hack.
Sorry, Marcia.
Thank you.
You can take what you have here and you could say, rewrite this for high school age applicants.
Okay. So the comment was to say rewrite for a high school applicant.
Yeah.
So that would be another way that you could do it. So basically, what we wanted to do was to give you an idea of what is out there and how you can use it to simplify or aid you in something that you're doing. So the other thing, any questions about the Internet Explorer? So I wanted now to show you Adobe Firefly. Can you see it?
Yep.
You guys can see Adobe?
Yes.
So welcome. So Adobe Firefly, this is more of an image creation. So you tell them what is it that you want to generate. So anybody have an idea of something they'd like to generate? We can do it right now. Any ideas? Okay, so I was going to create a logo for a business conducting training. Let's say you don't know what your logo looks like. So we're going to click generate.
It should look like a stop sign.
Stop sign trading. It better not be a train, like a locomotive.
Let's see. There you go.
Oh, Ascend.
This
It's
is
got
the
the book and
logo.
the mind thing. There you go. That's pretty
Yep.
good. What? It's got the
All
book
right,
and
so
the
let's
mind.
say change color with colors with purple.
Orange? What's a complementary color to purple? Orange?
Blue, light blue.
Yeah.
Do you want orange?
Yes, do purple and orange because that's. I'm just trying to usually like Clemson's that color. Like trying to think what goes with purple. Probably different shades of purple, but we'll do purple and orange colors.
Okay, so let's see what does it look like once we do that. There you go.
I'm not sure what those symbols are supposed to be. I guess we could give it symbols. What's a symbol for training?
Did that make it bigger for you guys?
Made it something else. It made it your desktop screen or
Yeah, we
wallpaper.
We
Oh,
lost
okay.
the view
Let me
there.
put it back over here then.
Actually, I like the first one better,
I
but
know.
maybe you needed to tell it use the same logo, only change the colors. Maybe give it more of a, because I kind of like that first one with the book, and then they
Right.
changed it to colors, and it just changed the whole feel of it.
Interesting. It keeps changing it.
Yeah. So this is why it's important for you, or maybe we put edit here, edit image, generated fill, use a reference image. So if you have a logo that you want to use, then you can actually put it in here. And you give it descriptions, and then you can actually put, I've created pictures of me. I've put a picture in and it's generated different images. So this is Adobe Firefly.
Is
And
that a
you're
free,
able to
is that a
go
free
in.
one?
No, this is not free. I pay for this. So
Okay.
I don't know if it's free, but I know I pay for it. I have the Adobe Creative Cloud that I pay for every month.
Okay, thank you.
So
Adobe
I want
might even give you the right time of day for free.
yeah, and if you're a teacher, you get a discount. I don't have the discount anymore. But here, this was just to show you an example of how you can create images using AI. There was another tool.
Marcia,
Uh-huh.
Chat GPT will create images for you too. You just type in what you want, and chat will do that.
Okay. There's
So,
another source.
What's that?
I said that's another source.
Yes, it's another source. Use chat.
Yep. So, something I just heard about. How many of you have heard of Perplexity?
Yep.
Yeah.
So how of you have used that?
I have not used it, but I have several friends who say it's better than ChatGPT, and
Yeah.
my son uses it.
So I just heard about it. So Perplexity is now available. Um, and it is a new chat tool. I have not used it. So I think maybe I have signed have I signed up? Oh, it hasn't used it, but it comes up just like your Chat GBT or your Internet Explorer.
Why
So
don't you ask it, how is Perplexity different than ChatGPT?
There we go.
so
I like that.
I did. I asked it and it will tell you exactly how it is. So how is or compare.
You're back in Copilot.
Yeah, go to.
I spelled that all wrong. I hope it catches it.
Yeah,
Okay.
figured it
So
out.
Copilot versus
Yeah.
Perplexity versus ChatGPT. So Copilot works as a companion, integrates Microsoft, structured, safe, and then Perplexity designed as a search first AI, extremely fast at pulling real time information, great for research and citations, quick fact finding, less strong at long form writing, creativity, or nuance.
So it might be what you're looking for, Mark, or Keith,
So
one
good
of
at
you two.
generating long form. So it tells you, and it tells you how they handle the task from research, writing, business operations. So
A question from the chat: has anybody used the Claude AI? I've only heard of it on the commercials, but I haven't used it either.
what is that one?
I don't know. Ask ChatGPT. What is the
Right.
Claude AI?
Spell it for
There are
me.
so many A's.
CLAUED.
Yeah.
There it is. There's Claude.
Suggestion. I guess the question is what? How is Claude back to? Let's do another comparison. How is Claude compared to ChatGPT, and put that in there, and let's see. This gives us some good feedback on it.
I also have a question for those of you, maybe I guess in corporate America. Do you have any security concerns? Because I know we have a lot of security concerns about ChatGPT because a lot of that because it's web based and it can end up on the web, and so we're starting to put restrictions on what people use. We do use Copilot, but any experience there? Anyone?
So for I work for Newport News Shipbuilding, and we are not allowed to use any of the AI. We will get the screen of death. So what they did is they created a AI for the business. So
Mm,
that what they do is you'd use it just like this, and it pulls from the business documents so that you can write it. So it's the same concept. It's just that they've restricted it to company information.
yeah, it's
So
or
I work for the Coast Guard, and so we only have Gemini, and they're working on figuring out for there's one called Grok and ChatGPT and Claude. So that's the only one I have available is Gemini, and they pretty much said you can't use the other ones on Coast Guard computers. So they're working towards it. That's just that the IT securities and those kind of things. So that's always a good question to ask your IT department on those kind of stuff. You
right.
know,
Yeah, we're
that
in
kind of.
yeah. Yeah, good point.
So again, if we can use it at the, if they again, I think they came up with one because enough people were asking for it. Now, there's nothing. I mean, people still go around it. They use ChatGPT on their home computers and then copy and paste the stuff into their Coast Guard computers, which is probably that's not any different than writing an email or something like that. So that's probably okay. You're not going to get in trouble with that. But they're trying to again they want people to be, they want a better tracking of how people are actually using AI, and that's what Gemini does, keeps doing. So, again, I think at least the Coast Guard was smart in realizing that if we don't give people an AI, they're going to go around our backs. I think that's probably the same thing for corporate America. If we don't come up with some ways to do it, people are going to find a way and defeat our system. So we better find a way for people to use something.
Right.
Come away with like what I would say corporate approved AI, whatever that is. So where do you work, Becky?
I work for Connexon, which is a company who build. I used to say we're a startup, but we're not anymore. Anyway, we help design and build fiber networks in rural America, and we are doing kind of, Marcia, what you said, a combination of we're building internal AI agents, but with Copilot. Sorry, I'll go on camera. But with Copilot, because that's internal to our already screened Microsoft system, right? But ChatGPT is a no-no. And yes, some people, same thing, use their home computer, et cetera. But yeah, so I was just curious if other folks are finding that, because I think it got so out of hand so quickly for organizations that everybody was using it for everything. And I think even our own organization, somebody used it with actual finance numbers, and it went it went. Now that's shared, that's out there somewhere, right? So they are quickly putting the clamp down. So I was wondering if that was the same in your organizations. This has been really helpful, though. I appreciate getting to listen in, and great ideas and ways to use it.
Thank you.
Any other final comments or questions?
Yeah, this is Vince. I do have, so reflecting on two models, Bloom's taxonomy and the data information knowledge wisdom model. What I'm hearing and seeing, I really appreciate the presentation this evening, but what I'm really seeing is good use of the lower levels of Bloom's taxonomy and up to data and information on the other scale. As an instructor, I realize that learning truly occurs when you actually have a type of mind meld between the instructor and the learner. So they can follow your logic, they can follow your pacing, they can follow your vocabulary, and anything that doesn't follow is rather jarring to the learning process. And that's one of the problems, I think, with AI at this stage, is when you run up against something that jars you into or out of the learning frame of mind, and it disengages the learner from the presenter, it takes quite a while to re-engage. And that, too, in my experience, is a tremendous disadvantage of AI, because as soon as it mispronounces a name or doesn't flow logic, or the pacing isn't right, it creates problems and people disengage, and they disengage almost unrecoverably. For instance, when you've got a AI presented CBT or WBT module, it's very hard to get people to re-engage. Now, when you are creating as an instructional systems designer, you can correct for that, but that requires almost as much effort as doing the original design, which leads me back into using AI as a memory aid or as a prompt for considering different factors to go into the instruction. But I can't see it being used effectively for true learning. To convey knowledge, you truly have to have that mind meld, and AI just doesn't get it, in my opinion. So my big point is, I really like this presentation, and I would like to see continued presentations to go towards those upper levels of blooms or to the true use in an actual learning environment.
I don't know this for a fact, but my belief is that if you take your AI content, you can build it into an app that you could post on an Apple or an Android device, and it would be constrained to the content that you want to use and not go outside the app.
Yeah, I've heard that too. So, all right. Hey, well, thanks. Thanks for everyone for joining in this one. I think we're gonna have a session in March. I got to figure that out. I was supposed to give it. I haven't figured out my schedule yet for March because I'm furloughed now. So we'll. I'll reach out to Mark and Marcia next week to figure that out. What our next March one will be. If you have an idea of some technology or tool you'd like us to demo and show off again, please send us an email and let us know so we can do another one of these demo kind of sessions.
Okay, thank you. So long, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.